Welcome to Voiceprint with Trevor Devall and Guests. And now, your host and mine, Trevor Devall.
Oh, there we go. An actual audience applauding, not just a lovely sound effect from GarageBand. It's so much better. Hey guys, how you doing? We are on Voiceprint with Trevor Devall, episode 23, live from Ohio at Matsuricon 2009. And it's a good time all around. I am, as always, your intrepid host, Trevor Devall. And today, we have a very, very special guest. And I know I say this every single episode. Every guest is special to me. Every single one. But this one more so than most. Why? Because he's sitting next to me at the moment. And therefore, I have to tell him he's more special than most. No, I'm just kidding. He is wonderful, so wonderful, in fact, I want to play a little clip of his work.
The next item today is catalog number 614. Now, hold on. What's with that piece of junk? This isn't a garage sale, you know.
Well, this is the product listed in the catalog.
They'll take anything these days. It's embarrassing. To continue, I will start taking bids on this next item. Lot number 614. We'll start the bidding at $10,000 for this wonderful antique ring.
It's no use.
Do I have a bidder? Oh. You gotta be kidding.
Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, the lovely, the talented, the big, bald, beautiful Kyle Hebert. All right, welcome to the show, Kyle.
Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Oh, it's been a long time. I mean, you've actually been on the podcast for 22 episodes. That's as right. my break commercial guy.
Yeah. We play your promo on our podcast as well.
Oh, isn't that nice? Yeah. We just play each other's promos. Oh my God, it's so awesome. It's good to finally have you on the show.
My God, yes it is.
Yes,
it's great to be here, sir. Thank you. I'm honored and flattered.
Well, you should be.
And I am. I'm basking in Canadian greatness.
In the heartland of America.
In the heartland of America.
Will ironies never cease. Well, let's get. We've got a big show to do and very little time to do it, so let's get right on to your history. And now, Voiceprint with Trevor Devall and Guests presents In Memoriam, a history of our guests' long and faithful service to the cause of voice acting. We have a giant stack from IMDB here, a giant stack. In fact, it's so big. Your credits are so long.
Yes.
So massive.
Yes.
I had to cut them down. I had to pare them down. So we have to pretend that you haven't, in fact, been in a bazillion things like you have. You guys got to see this resume this man has. It's unbelievable. He's unbelievable, this guy. He's very modest. Oh, well, I do video games and anime. But like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. I had no idea. So I'm going to just sort of pick ones at random that leap out at me for various reasons. Whee! The first one they have listed here is something I don't know what it is. I don't recognize it. It's called Magnum Farce, A Shot in the Park.
Ah, yes.
And can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. That one actually means very, very much to me personally because I've always wanted to do voices for animated stuff. And particularly domestically animated stuff, what they call in the business prelay, where you record the audio first before the animation. And everybody who is an anime fan knows that obviously we are dubbing after the fact from another language. So along comes this producer and director and creator, Ken Mora, and he puts out an ad in Backstage West or something like that, one of those trade in saying, "Oh, we're looking for voices for an original CG short." And I actually heard about it from my friend Dan Warren, a fellow voice actor who most people will know as Byakuya from Bleach. And for old school fans, he was Roy Fokker on Robotech. And so he said, "Hey, Kyle, I found this ad, and we should try out." So We hopped on my laptop, recorded some MP3 auditions. Ken got back to us right away and said, I want you guys. So we got that.
Right on. Was this like your first kind of prelay experience then?
Not the very first, but it's the first thing to come out. It's for the completed short. You can actually watch the completed short of Magnum Farce, A Shot in the Park, which is a parody of Dirty Harry. Clint Eastwood, make my day sort of thing. Little adult-oriented. Little kiddies shouldn't watch it, but it's on funnyordie.com. And making the rounds, making some accolades on the film festival circuit. So I'm very, very proud of that. Very cool.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Big round of
applause. That's awesome. There's a whole bunch, a ton of games here. A ton of games. And I'm just going to, like I said, grab a few at random. One is called Biohazard 5, but it says also known as Resident Evil 5. Is that, in fact, the next Resident Evil game?
That's that crazy little Resident Evil thing that nobody's ever heard of. An obscure title.
Little title. Will the zombies never die? I mean, Resident Evil 5.
I know. They die, but they come back because they're undead.
Oh, yes, right. Undead.
And when people go, who are you? And I say, I'm a zombie. I say, well, what's your favorite line? My favorite line is...
Well spoken, those creatures.
Yes.
This is a big one. It's one that people will watch, or rather see. I said watch, because that's in the title. Watchmen. The End is Nigh is a video game, obviously based on the movie. And you played voice, it says.
I did. I played voice, disembodied voice. Guys in the background who, if you play the game, it's actually quite terrible. But the movie I love, and the comic I love, but fortunately they kind of threw together this video game that is just complete and utter crap.
Oh, well.
But I got paid and had a blast, and I got to say I am part of the Watchmen universe now.
Exactly.
I will not tap on the table, apparently, because that makes Mike's do things.
Okay. That's okay.
But yeah, I'm just a couple of thugs who say, that's Rorschach, that's Night Owl, get him! F-bomb, and just blew my voice out over the course of 4 hours.
Wow.
But again, it's like, I want to be on the Watchmen game.
Yeah. Any association with that would be the coolest thing ever, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh. Yes.
Oh, so awesome when Rorschach was... Okay, we're not going to go there.
Rorschach, baby, Rorschach.
Rorschach, baby! Okay.
We'll investigate later.
Of course, there seems to be a bazillion Dragon Ball Z games.
Just a few.
Yeah?
Just a few.
The most recent one, I think, Infinite World, is that right?
Infinite World's not even out yet.
Whoa.
Well, I mean, I guess that one is, actually. There's the Raging Blast that's not out yet.
Raging Blast.
Raging Blast! Coming out. It's kind of a sequel to Burst Limit, for those who got the next-gen DBZ game on Xbox or PS3.
So you were all over the consoles?
I'm afraid so.
Wow. I can't do the console games.
Yeah?
I mean, not that I can't do them, they just won't let me.
They won't allow it, huh?
They won't allow it. It hurts me. Another Resident Evil, Degeneration.
Yes, that's another one with a...
It's the best line ever.
Yes.
And then, of course, Dragon Ball DS.
Yeah.
Which is what?
Well,
for the what? Because you do all the platforms.
Oh, yeah. So DS is obviously the portable Nintendo, and Dragon Ball would be the prequel to Dragon Ball Z, the most insanely popular of the saga.
This is true.
I've voiced some different characters. People know me as the narrator on Dragon Ball Z, but if you go back to Dragon Ball, I voice Ox King. Oh boy, Chi-Chi's getting married. And then I go back to General White. Ah, yes, little lamb. We will destroy him.
Ooh, that's sexy.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you, Stewie. Thank you.
Yes, I like that one. Talk like that small.
This is a big one. This is a big one that even I, who am a video game neophyte, I suppose. Is that right? New to video games?
Noob.
Novice is probably better. Thank you, studio audience. This is why you're here, people. Video game novice. Street Fighter 4.
Yes. Yes.
That's a big one. And who do you play in Street Fighter 4?
I am a Ryu.
Ryu, like the main dude.
The main dude. People say, oh, Ken? Like, no, the other main dude. Because Ryu and Ken are probably both the best known of these main things. Yes.
Well, oh, wow. So when did you do this? This was fairly recent?
Well, recorded over a year ago. And then, of course, you got the restraining order. It's like, don't talk about Fight Club. Don't talk about Fight Club. We'll kill you. And then it finally comes out and it's like, okay, I can talk about it now. I'm real. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
And it comes out and sells 1 billion copies, and I don't see a dime of it because there's no residuals in video games.
Blast.
Curses. But Hadouken! Yes, and that sort of thing. So, yeah, the game comes out, and a lot of voice actors say, I don't watch my own stuff, I don't play my own games, and I totally nerd out over that. I love popping in the game, selecting my character, and playing as my character. I suck at it, but damn it, I can still play as Ryu. And die miserably.
Devil May Cry 4
Yes.
is one that I recognize.
Yes.
You guys fans, Devil May Cry fans out here?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm a boss on the 4th level, this giant toad, actually it's Toad brothers, that have girls dangling from their tendrils on their head.
Wow. Well,
Those wacky Japanese.
Yes, that always makes the devil cry.
Yes.
Girls from my tentacles. That could be a band.
It could.
We're girls from my tentacles. Hello, Ohio.
Toots my goats.
Are you ready to rock? Girls on my tentacles. This one jumped out at me because I'm an old man, and this particular title was from way back in the day, which is why I recognize it. Golden Axe. Beast Rider in 2007. Did they do an updated version of Golden Axe?
They did one for the Xbox. Yes, the 360.
Was it awesome?
Well, it was awesome. It was another one of those throat shredding sessions because I was enlisted to be one of the beasts. So no actual dialogue, just and then they process it and make it sound even more demonic. But yes, I'm sitting there, sipping on a cup of blazing hot raspberry tea, and I'm putting lemon in there, after each. Okay, cut. Okay, are we ready yet? And then, the director's going, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Now roar some more.
Yeah, now roar some more. And then we sit there and trade stories about the guy who came in before, who voiceover peeps will recognize, Dee Bradley Baker, who is big on the doing beasties for video games and whatnot. And this guy has amazing breath control and voice control, and he can go for 90 minutes without even breaking a sweat.
Cool.
Voicing these things. I want to be him when I grow up.
I don't think guys like you and I actually ever do grow up. That's the beauty of what we do.
Never.
There's a microphone, for those of you at home, there's a microphone stand directly to my right, which is the mic that the audience is going to use a little later to ask us questions. But from my peripheral vision, I'm seeing somebody with their hand up constantly, like someone is trying to interrupt me to say, Mr. Devall, I have a question. But of course, it's just a mic stand. It's kind of irritating. Anyway, enough about the games. Let's get on to some shows that you're very well known for. And the first that pops out here is Naruto. And you have a character in that whose name is unpronounceable to me.
Yes.
Because I have a real hard time pronouncing the Japanese name. So why don't you just help me out on that one here?
Well, actually, I have one of those character names that luckily everyone pronounces right.
Really? Well, let me give it a shot. Kiba Inuzuka.
There you go. You got it. You got it.
Superpowers right here, ladies and gentlemen. Superpowers. Naruto is a really big title.
It is a big title. It is a huge title. In fact, that was one of those titles when I first moved to L.A. in the fall of 2005. And my good friend, more name-dropping time, Steve Bloom. Anyone know Steve Bloom? Yo, yeah. That's right. He's got those golden pipes. So he goes up to the guys at Studiopolis, with the guys who were dubbing that, and it's like, yo, there's a friend of mine moving here from Dallas. You should give a listen to him. And they did. And they said, all right, come on in. Try out for multiple characters. So I tried out for Kiba. I tried out for Guy Sensei. I tried out for a lot of characters, actually, and I ended up getting Kiba.
But that's awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yes, awesome.
The dub had just started on Cartoon Network in America just a few months earlier, and then I was on board by, I moved to L.A. in September, and I was recording on the show by December. So I
right
said,
on.
Well, this is the good side of things to come.
Yes, apparently.
Yes.
Another big one here is Bleach.
Bleach. Yes. Bleach.
Very popular title, as you can hear by the applause of the studio audience. I don't pretend to know anything about these shows. I'm not going to start to pretend now.
No, okay.
That's great.
But I see Bleach everywhere. I see the manga being sold. I see the animes being sold. Every time your name is mentioned, it's always Bleach and Naruto. Those are the big things. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk a little bit about how you got involved more specifically with this later in the show.
Yes.
Dragon Ball GT.
Even GT. That's the third series in the Dragon Ball saga. It's after Z and after Dragon Ball. And then there's GT, which a lot of fans go, we don't count that one. Creator Akira Toriyama kind of left, and people think of it as, oh, it's official fan fiction. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. Well, we'll just move right along then. Samurai 7?
Samurai 7. A beautiful, beautiful show. Yes, very, very nice.
And of course, this one, people always ask me, if you could be on any show that they do in the States, what would it be? And this is the one. This is the show that I would love to have been on, and that is Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah.
Wow. That, just to be involved in that at all would have been.
And that's what it was. That was what it was for me. And I wanted to try out for Hughes. I really wanted to get Hughes, but I'm not. Sonny Strait did a fantastic job. He was awesome. He was awesome as Hughes. They ended up giving me the role of Vato Fallman, who was one of Roy Mustang's guys. I didn't even have to try out for it. They cast me based on my audition, I guess I did for Hughes or Tucker or, Zafura. And there's like a stack of like 5 or 6 characters I read for in one day. And so I didn't get any of the major characters, but I said, well, we like this Kyle guy. Let's go ahead and let's use him. So and as a voice actor feels really good, right?
Yeah.
When you get that call saying, you're going to play this guy. Like, oh, okay. It's like there's no audition. You're just booked. Let's go in and record. Let's have fun. Yay.
And One Piece is another one here that you did some work for.
Yes.
Now, One Piece, I think we did the pilot in Vancouver many, many years ago.
Wow.
I think so. Because I remember doing some. That's a piratey thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
See, I'm terrible. I don't know any of these shows. I'm hosting a show about anime. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. So they wound up. Didn't they do One Piece in New York?
They did. 4 kids rounded up studios in New York with the New York Talent Pool, and that ran for a while. And then eventually the rights got in the hands of Funimation in Texas and said, all right, now we're going to do this uncut. And the fans are like drooling over. So
Cool.
Now that's in the hands, and they're coming out with movies and
Wow.
the original seasons all uncut in their glorious original versions.
Right on. And this is a big one, too, of course, and we've already kind of skirted around it. But the narrator on Dragon Ball Z.
Ah, yes. Next time on Dragon Ball Z. That's the one that so many kids come up at the conventions and goes, man, you were like I listened to you every single episode. It's like, well, yeah, because he was in every episode. It's like, I hated that. It's like, why? It's like, because that's when you know it's over. Over 9,000? No. That's when you know the episode is over, when the narrator starts, and next time, Goku, this, that. And then, well, yeah, but...
There was literally, I think, like hundreds of entries on this thing. So we only have time to talk about a few of your wonderful performances.
I see that stack of paper. Many a tree died for this show prep.
I know. Well, I'm a horticulturalist murderer or something stupid like that. Anyway, why don't we take a little break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about your history, how you got involved, favorite moments, all that kind of stuff.
Yay.
Don't go anywhere.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Frederick Volden Fiddlefapper reporting to you live from Grover's Mill, New Jersey, where there seems to be a crash site for a gigantic unidentified flying object. Witnesses saw a huge fireball hurling across the sky at breakneck speed, which then plowed straight into the middle of the town square. I now have with me Dr. Brouhaha, professor of all things geeky. Tell us, Doctor, is this the first sign of intelligent alien life from another galaxy?
Well, this appears to be a gigantic antenna meant to spread news about video games, cartoons, anime, movies, technology into the atmosphere, and it is called the Big Bald Broadcast.
Tell us, why do you call it that, Doctor?
It says right there in huge letters. What are you, an idiot? Swineford.
Thank you very much, Doctor. I'm absolutely speechless right now, ladies and gentlemen. This big, bald broadcast is having a bizarre effect on the townspeople, including yours truly. I have the sinister urge to tune my web browser over to bigbaldbroadcast.blogspot.com and download the latest geeky news with hosts, voice actor Kyle Hebert and musician Otherworld Steve. I'll also have to check for daily nerdy news links on twitter.com/bbroadcast. Now, if you'll excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go get an iPhone and fondle it.
Settle in. This could be a long one.
Hello, I'm Weston Biggerstaff, star of the groundbreaking nature documentary series Nature, Red in Tooth and Claw. For 2 years, I've been giving it to Mother Nature. Now I'm gonna give it to Father Time, Biggerstaff style. Tooth and Claw proudly presents History, Red in Tooth and Claw.
History.
Man's legacy of knowledge.
History.
The past's greatest hits.
History.
When old people weren't useless.
History.
Things that have happened and what has not happened isn't allowed.
History.
People like, Groucho Marx and
History.
Charles Manson and the Pope.
History.
It's important because we need to know what things happen so that...
History.
Is that the last one? Can I just...
History.
Oh, shit! Look, just watch History Red in Tooth and Claw at www.redintoothandclaw.com. While there, you can read my blog, The Blogger Staff, or play my trivia quiz and get up to date with the 20th century. Well, most of it. We could only really afford the old footage. History Red in Tooth and Claw. So much fun, you'll be doomed to repeat it.
You're listening to Voiceprint with Trevor Devall and Guests.
And we are back with Kyle Hebert. So, question for you, sir.
Yes.
An LA-based actor who originally comes from Texas.
Yes.
How
Dallas, Texas.
did you get involved in the whole anime world?
That's a question I've never heard before.
I know. Well, it's only unique questions here on Voiceprint.
Yes, of course. Unlike most voice actors who come from the stage and just kind of fall into voice acting, I actually sought this out from childhood after watching, many a Looney Tune and Bugs Bunny cartoon and learning that Mel Blanc, the greatest voice actor in my eyes, anyway. Yeah, round of applause for Mel Blanc. That really inspired me from like age 8 or so onward. It's like, I want to do 2 things in life. I want to be a DJ and I want to do cartoon voices. So I ended up going to college and getting a degree in broadcasting and working in radio for like 13 years for ABC Radio Network's syndicated satellite radio out of Dallas, and worked on Radio Disney. Have you guys heard of Radio Disney? I was a DJ for them for 9 years. And I got to write, produce, be a DJ, do character voices, create my own like radio dramas and stuff. It's like that was a virtual playground for me.
No kidding.
So along comes this opportunity to audition for Funimation, which happens to be in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And some of the radio station peeps kind of went to Funimation, take a tour, and they come back and go, Kyle, guess what? We know you're dying to do voices, and they're happen to have auditions for this Dragon Ball Z show. It's like, that's awesome, because I was actually a fan of Dragon Ball Z from like 5 years previous. And anyone who knows, there's actually the first version of DBZ was done in Canada, the Ocean Group,
yes,
with that cast of the great people like Scott McNeil and Brian Drummond and so forth and so on. And I got to wow, I get to try out for this show I'm a fan of? No way! So I go in and I try out for this role, Teen Gohan, because he hadn't been cast yet. It's like, oh, say. So I guess that one won't be a voice match. Because recently, like in the past year, Funimation moved their operations from using the Ocean Group to Texas. So you have this new cast where basically people are kind of voice matching what was done on the Ocean version. But upward coming closer to the saga where there's some new characters, such as the older version of Gohan, which hadn't been done in the Canadian version. So it's like, okay, I get to bring my own spin on this. So that's kind of what I did in the booth, and ended up getting cast doing bit parts on the Bardock special, which was one of the few DBZ specials to come out, and started doing bit parts on the show. And they said, all right, you passed your trial by fire, sir. Congratulations. We love your audition for Teen Gohan. You got it. Like, what? woo, you couldn't peel me off the ceiling, man. This is a dream come true, literally, because I was not only a fan of the show, I've always been a fan of anime, more of a casual fan, though, I got to be honest. A casual fan of anime, but a huge animation fan. It's like, I'm going to be doing voices for animated stuff. And this is like, wow, dream come true. It's like, okay, that's number 2 on the notch on the headboard, as it were. Like, okay, DJ, done. Okay, animated voices, done. Okay, now what do I do?
Space Cowboy.
Space Cowboy, yes.
Space Cowboy.
I want to do that.
That's my next hope.
Is it?
Space Cowboy. Perhaps one day. No, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
It could happen. It could happen to you, sir.
Favorite moments in your anime career? If you had to pick one or many?
Well, it kind of ties in just to the fact that, again, getting to do what I wanted to do since childhood. Just getting in the booth and learning firsthand experience that this was what I wanted. That this was everything I wanted it to be and more, because the voiceover community is a little different than the on-camera one. On-camera, everything's cutthroat and you got to look perfect, and it's like, I'm going to get this role, and you guys probably watch reality shows. Everyone is just horrid. But in voiceover, the voiceover peeps are like really laid back, and they're cool, and yeah, they have tons of acting experience too, but for some reason, and I can't explain why, but voiceover people kind of take each other's back, and they're like a close-knit community. They help each other out, and they're just genuinely awesome people.
So that's the same in L.A. then, as it is.
Oh, absolutely.
That's really good to hear, because, of course, the stereotype of Los Angeles is that whole cutthroat, I'm just out for myself. So it's nice that the voice guys and girls in L.A. are like that, too. That's cool.
Well, again, the shining example of Steve Bloom, who walked my demo in to several studios in L.A., I think I owe my career to him, because without him, it would have taken me forever to just go and knock on doors, go, hi, I have a little experience. Can I try out for your show? I'm like, yeah, you and a million people, right? Slam the door. But as we always tell folks at the conventions, it's like, well, yes, you need to, if someone opens the door for you, you need to be, trained and ready to go. It's like, luckily I had enough, 5 years of experience by the time I moved to L.A., so at least I had that. I felt like I was starting over. You're moving from Texas to the big pond, moving from the pond to the huge ocean of this plethora, this universe of voiceover talent where there's a million people who can do exactly what you can. And luck plays a huge, huge part of it.
Yes, timing is. I do a lot of teaching back home, and one of the things that I've got this little acronym that I teach people.
Yeah.
That the 4 pillars upon which to base a successful voice career. It's act with a stutter, ACTT. And the first one is attitude, because that's the most important one. The second one is consistency, always being consistent with your characters and being consistently good and doing new things and stuff like this. The next one is timing. And timing you have no control over, because it is that luck. It's do you have the right voice for the right character at the right time? And did the producer happen to like that particular choice you made in the audition? And therefore, you have no control over that. And, of course, the last one is talent. I'm still waiting for that one to manifest in my own career. But anyway, yeah, it is. There's a tremendous amount of luck. Now, you have an agent out there as well.
I do. That was another defining moment. I had never had an agent. I tried for years in Dallas and could not secure an agent.
So how did that happen for you in Los Angeles?
Steve Bloom, who walked in the demos. He introduced me to his agent when I kind of went out there early in 2005 to Apartment Scout and everything. He kind of hooked me up with a gig at Bang Zoom, and I got to work with Wendy Lee for the first time. And he said, I'm going to have lunch with my agent. You want to come along? It's like, yes. Because you know how invaluable that is. A lot of people don't get to meet agents face-to-face. They're just doing cold submissions. They send their CD and their resume in the mail and hope for the best. But this was like, whoa, FaceTime with a major LA agent. Oh, my God, this is amazing.
So you obviously impressed.
I did. I was able to. It's like, yeah. She's like, all right, well, when you move here, give me a call. And we'll see what happens. And it's like, all right, awesome. So I did. It took a few months of extreme stress and everything. It's like, I'm sorry I didn't have time to return your call. I was busy doing union SAG negotiations and whatnot. It's like, but okay, come on in and we'll sign you up. Like, Really? That's it? There's no interview? Like, why should I sign you? I was waiting for the big, like, I had to justify myself now.
We have laid out this obstacle course for you. You have to leap through this fire,
yes,
wrestle this alligator, and then perhaps we will represent you.
Yes, we'll think about it.
So that's William Morris, I think.
Yeah. It's like you have to start in the mailroom at William Morris. That's how you get anywhere in that company.
What was that old thing that Woody Allen used to say?
I don't know.
Something about being part of William Morris is like being in the CIA witness protection program. It's because you get with them and then they forget that you're there. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing. But I'm with a wonderful, wonderful agent named Arlene Thornton.
Arlene.
Yes.
Arlene Thornton.
Yes.
Practically raised her kids.
Well, there you go.
No, I don't know who you're talking about.
He fooled me there for a second.
Well, I'm an actor, you know.
He actorates.
Well, this kind of leads into another thing that I like to talk about with the guests on my little show, which is advice. Now, we do a lot of these conventions. You do a ton of these conventions. And part of the reason why I actually started the show was because we get asked the same questions over and over again a lot. And one of those questions is, how do you get into the business? How does a voice actor become a voice actor? How does an anime performer actually get in and do what you guys do? And everybody has their own stories and everybody has their own sort of bits of advice. And I would love to hear some advice from Kyle Hebert.
Okay. Well, you say this is episode 23 of your show, right?
It is.
So fans of your podcast have probably heard a recurring theme or pattern when it comes to this question about advice. And I don't think I'm going to be able to offer anything new in this realm other than to really kind of reiterate what every voice talent has said in the past. And it really is about getting that acting experience. You can't just be a fan. It's one thing to be a fan. It's a second to take yourself seriously about this craft called acting and prepare yourself for it. If you're not ready, say you have several stumbling blocks, like you're not living in a major market like LA or Vancouver or New York or Texas for Funimation and all that, then that's your number one stumbling block because you're not going to get to do that kind of work. Your eyes on the prize for animation or anime, you need to start thinking about the big picture. And this is a huge, huge thing where you're going to have to save thousands and thousands of dollars to move, to invest in workshops and training and producing a professional demo, something that you definitely need because that's your calling card. A commercial demo, first and foremost, actually. Even though your eye's on the prize for animation and stuff, if you really want to open up a whole world of voiceover opportunity, commercials are where the real money is. If you want to try and secure an agent, you need that commercial demo calling card. You need that acting training first, though. Don't just step into a demo going, I'm going to throw together this demo because I can do these wacky imitations of anime characters. No. I strongly suggest that you listen to the anatomy of demos by going to there's a great website called voicebank.net. And you can go there and pick any major market like Chicago, New York, LA, Dallas, Seattle, or whatever, and just pick. Say you're like an 18-year-old girl who's dying to get into this craft. Well, pick some of the ladies and listen to their commercial demo and listen to their animation demo.
That's funny you say that because I am actually an 18-year-old girl who's
Are
dying
you?
to get into this craft.
Not
a lot of people know that, but anyway.
Yes.
Carry on.
Trevorette. Trevora. I'm Trevora, yes. I'm dying to get into voice acting. So voicebank.net is a really, really helpful resource. It's something that casting people go to, and it's like this is where all the major agencies kind of dump their list of talents. Like, here's my talent pool. Use them. But it's great because anyone can go to that site, click on the demo, and you can learn a lot just by listening to these things because they're like a minute long nowadays. It used to be 90 seconds, 2 minutes. But everyone's kind of ADD now. It's like, So we're honing down demos to about a minute or so long of the best stuff for commercials and animation. They're not mixed. You can't really make a demo with both of them intertwined. They need to be separate entities.
So would you say that it's easier to get into the commercial world than the animation world in LA?
Gosh, I think, LA is just a huge hot pocket of competition. There's just no way to get around that. Although I personally think it's still a long, hard road, But I think it's easier to break into voiceover than, say, become the next Brad Pitt.
Right. Even though you and I both look exactly like Brad Pitt.
Oh, we do, especially
So we
in
would-
Glorious Bastards.
Yeah.
With the chin and everything. It's like, I'm to Aldo Rain. Yep.
Oh, I've got to see that.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
You are a podcaster as well, and a bit of a techno guru. You've got your fingers in everything. You've got it in Facebook and MySpace and Twitter and all sorts of other things that I don't even know how to pronounce them. So, how did you get involved in podcasting? And tell us a little bit about your own show, The Big Ball Broadcast.
Okay, the Big Ball Broadcast, that just kind of erupted. I got to give props to MC Wilson, who was another podcaster back in the day. He doesn't do a podcast anymore, but hi, MC. He came up with a name for the show, Big Ball Broadcast. It's like, I like the way that sounds, because I'm big, I'm bald, and it's a broadcast. But it's not terrestrial radio, it's the interwebs. And this huge buzzword came out in about 2005 called podcasting. It's like, ooh, what's that? Well, it's internet radio. It's radio on demand. It's talk shows about whatever you want. It's like, wow, power to the people. How cool is that? Back in the day, people would want to do their own talk show. You'd have to go to the local low-watt community station and bring your own records. Yes, records back then. 8 tracks, cassettes, and kind of pay for the equipment with user donations and stuff. Public radio, right? But now you have the internet, the interwebs. It's not just for porn. No, you can actually use that and we were able to set up, a free host, a free blog, a free this, free that, because free is a good price.
Can't be beat.
I know, right? And I said, well, if this power of radio comes to the internet, you're not just appealing to a low-watt community station that only 50 people in a city block can hear. The whole web can hear. And back then, in 2005, we weren't worried about streaming live stuff. We were just like, we just want to get on-demand stuff. We're going to post an MP3 of a talk show. And we want our talk show to focus on geeky stuff. Now, even though I'm a voice actor and I geek out about voice acting, you're actually already doing the show that I originally thought about doing.
Oh, really?
And I didn't want to go over the same the same thing. And Trevor's just, he does it right. I love it. Isn't Trevor's podcast awesome?
Oh, thank you.
It's truly awesome, but I didn't want it to focus on me or my craft. I wanted it to focus on something that I think all anime fans and gaming fans can really like, the common ground, the world of geekdom, the world of full frontal nerdity, where we like gadgets, we like comics, we like movies, we like all that sort of thing, and we wanted to just and there's hundreds and hundreds of shows that all do the same thing, honestly, but I just wanted to do our own spin on it. So my friend, Otherworld Steve, as he has dubbed himself, who runs my website, it's like, dude, I want to pull you on. It's like, I'm not a voice guy. It's like, you don't have to be a voice guy. We're just going to just talk about this stuff and have fun with it. We're going to report the news, and we'll rip it off of different other websites and kind of be a hub for this sort of thing and report the news in Geek World and just give our opinions. So we started there.
And you're in Los Angeles, and where is Otherworld Steve when you record this thing?
He is actually in New Bedford, Massachusetts.
And so you guys are using Skype and
we use
things
Skype.
like this?
We use Skype,
Cool.
and we've used various. I used, originally I was using Audacity, which is freeware, to record the show. A few months ago, we brought on another friend of mine, Mark Swent, who is in Philly. He set up a server, so now we all communicate via Skype, and he engineers it, and we actually stream, not only just record the show, but we stream live on stickcam.com on Friday or Saturday night.
Actual live, no chance
live.
to edit.
No chance to edit, whatever
Wow,
happens.
That's brave. I'm not that brave yet.
well, our Mark will edit the show afterwards, so he'll put that on the blog site on thebigballbroadcast.com for people to download as they would any other time.
Huh.
But people who tune in, so to speak, or click on the link when we announce it on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. It's like, hey, we're live now. Click on the link. It takes you to the Stickcam page. Now, it's not a video podcast, just audio.
Right.
But it takes you to that room. There's a chat room there, so people can sit there and communicate with us, and we're sitting there acknowledging, oh, yes, BR5429 says, yes, Avatar looks like live-action Fern Gully.
Wow.
Or whatever.
That is very cool. I've only been involved in one of those kind of shows once. Me and David Kay were doing a radio broadcast at one point a number of years ago, and I actually got into some trouble when I was doing that one because it was live and you saw the computer screen and all the people were sending in questions, and at one point we were talking away, and as we do, we tend to go into certain voices just because, and at one point I started to speak like Stewie, and as I did that, the screen lit up and all these people were, oh my God, are you the voice of Stewie? And I was like, no. That's Seth the man. But I was like, oh boy, I don't want to get sued.
Oh no.
But it was really cool. I would love to actually have that, because a big part of my show, as you know, is to have questions from the audience. But of course, because it's not live, I have to announce the guest in the end of the episode, and then people write me, and then I read their questions for them. But I get a little sick of the sound of my own voice, and I would actually like to somehow have them even phone into the show, old school style. That would be cool somehow.
Well, there's a way to do that too, and that's what Mark kind of does. He, when me and Steve do the show, he will actually friend people on Skype so we can do that, and he'll kind of bring them into the show. We'll text on the chat or something and say, does anyone want to talk about the subject that we're talking about? And it's like, yeah, I do. And it's like, we'll go them on the friend list on Skype and kind of bring them in so it sounds like they're calling in. But we really just use the conference feature on Skype.
Okay, we're going to have to talk about this.
I know, seriously.
This is too cool.
It
is.
Too
cool for school.
It's possible, sir, to take your podcast to the next level, my friend.
Wow, taking it to the stars.
Yes, indeed.
All right, let us see what's in the mailbag.
Martin's mailbag.
Oh, I have to come up with a name for the sheep. I really do.
It's not Morton?
Martin.
I thought you said Morton's mailbag, right?
No, Martin. That's the guy in Toronto.
Martin.
Who sends me all of the stuff. There's a fellow who works at YTV, which is one of the big broadcasters in Toronto, and he sends me information on my current guests and all kinds of stuff. And so, yeah, Martin. So Martin isn't the sheep. I'm sure he'd be weirdly flattered to think that you've named the sheep. Anyway, Martin says, here is a small sample on where you can hear Kyle Hebert, Aizen, and Ganju on Bleach. Adult Gohan on Dragon Ball Z. Ken Go of Eureka 7. Makoto Takai. Yes? I did it. Of Fruits Basket. Vato Falman. Vado Falman of Full Metal Alchemist. Kamina of Gurren Lagann. Kiba of Naruto. And Kazukiyo Soga of Uran High School Host Club. Wow, that is the most Japanese-sounding name of a show I've ever heard. Uran High School Host Club.
Yes,
it's a very good show.
Very, very
I
good.
speak English good. And on YTV's fall schedule, you can hear your favorite Vancouver voice actors on, being Ian, Rollbots, League of Super Evil, Kid vs. Cat, Monster Buster Club, Captain Flamingo, Edgar and Ellen, and Stormhawks. And over on Teletoon on their fall schedule, you can hear your favorite Vancouver voice actors on George of the Jungle, Ricky Sprocket, Totally Spies, Johnny Test, and Jimmy Two Shoes. And Martin also tells us don't forget to hear your favorite Vancouver voice actors on the new Gundam 00 DVDs. All right, on to the questions. We've got a combination of questions from the people who have written in and also from our wonderful, beautiful people here in the live studio audience. This first one is from Victor. Victor says, hi, Trevor and Kyle. I'm Victor, and I'm a student going into my third year of the musical theater program at Capilano University in North Vancouver. First of all, with your combined sage wisdom, what are a few things about a successful demo reel that the two of you have learned over time? One of the things that Trevor has said eons ago was to have an overall arc to your reel, not necessarily a narrative, but a clear beginning, middle, and end. What other tips and tricks do you guys know?
Something that was kind of drilled into my head through the years, through various people, whether it's commercial or animation demos, is that unlike a movie where you want the climax to be the greatest part ever, it's like everything is building to this huge conclusion. There's so many demos in the world that agents and casting people, they will stop listening after 10 seconds or so unless they're really, really hooked. So it's like you really have to put your best excerpt first as opposed to at the end. And that sounded like weird logic to me, but then I thought about it. It's like, well, no, if they're hitting stop after the first 10 seconds of like, oh, yeah, I've heard this kind of voice. I don't want to hear this. You've really got to be, really got to hook them.
That's an excellent point. Really coming out swinging with your best shot first. You want to put your opponent down with a first punch.
That's
You
right.
don't want to be going into round 9 with a guy when you can take him out right in round 1. Doesn't make for a very exciting fight, but it's a hell of a good demo.
It is.
Is there anybody in the crowd here who has a question for Kyle? Okie dokie. Oh, sorry. By all means, step up to the mic, son. But Victor actually has a little request for you, Kyle. He says, I know it's kind of taboo to ask this, but as a gigantic fan of Gurren Lagann and as an aspiring actor who could use some inspiration, I was wondering if Kyle could perhaps give me some words of encouragement in the way that only the tenacious leader of Team Gurren could.
Well, Victor, don't believe in yourself. Believe in Kamina. Believe in the Kamina who believes in you.
Very
Basically.
nice.
That's a little Kamina for you.
All right. We have a question from a member of the audience. What's your name?
I'm James.
James, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
It's good to have you.
Both of you have your own podcasts, and you have a lot of fellow voice actors that, jump on there and get into the action with you. And I was wondering what your reaction would be if you're ever to get, such a high talent name as, say, Frank Welker. Or, that type of, one of the guys who's been there for a long, long time. Like I said, Kyle's got a list of IMDB that's that long. I've seen Welker's, and it's,
Yeah, he's a legend. I think my reaction would probably be urination in my pants. Immediate and total urination. Yeah, I'd love to have someone like that on the show. Actually, I had a fan write in saying, "Can you get Mark Hamill on the show?" Because of course Mark is Mark. Like I'm buddies with him. Me and Mark practically raised as kids. Mark Hamill's a big voice actor. He's fantastic. Like when he does the voice of the Joker on Batman, the guy is unbelievable. I'm a huge fan. I would love to get him on the show, but for me, that means having Luke Skywalker on the show.
Right.
And I think I'd just drop dead right there if that was to happen. But I am trying, and I'm trying to get sort of names like that. But for now, I have to stick to just the Canadian guys, eh? And the occasional American who wants to lower himself to come on a show, eh?
Yeah. You mentioned Mark Hamill. I say, I'm playing Arkham Asylum, which just came out, the brand new Batman game, and it is like amazing. Even just to listen, if you're not a gamer, even you would just melt listening to Kevin Conroy's Batman and Mark Hamill's Joker again. I was like, this is what it's all about.
Yeah, that show was so well done.
Yeah.
So just,
That's my goal, to work on animated stuff with Andrea Romano, the great casting director who worked on all the Batman stuff, Animaniacs and all that. I was going to say, someone that I would die to have on my podcast. I mean, I do have anime voice actors, but domestic animated stuff, I would love to have like Billy West, who I have met, and he's like amazing. Maurice LaMarche. Who I've seen. I've actually been in a restaurant going, oh my God, it's Maurice LaMarche. And I didn't have the guts to go up and start talking to him. I felt like, oh man. But yeah, like Frank Welker. Wow, just to be in the and Peter Cullen, Optimus Prime.
Well, you're a lot closer to getting them on your show than I am getting them on mine.
By proximity only. I'm a horrible, horrible person when it comes to like going out there and schmoozing. Just like, hey, how you doing? Let's do lunch. I was like, nah, it's not me.
This one's from Philip. Hey, it's been so long since I listened to this podcast. What the hell is that supposed to mean, Philip? My question for Kyle is, being a Dragon Ball Z fan, if Funimation gets Dragon Ball Kai, will you dub it? And do you think the other actors will return?
That's a very interesting question. A lot of people, did you get Dragon Ball Kai yet? Did you? I was like, well, I didn't. But I'm sure that Funimation, knowing that Dragon Ball Z and the Dragon Ball franchise is just a huge cash cow, which has basically funded their ability to license all these other shows, would jump at the chance to license it. But it's a matter of time, I think, and Toei has to be willing, first of all, to license it. And once they do and the money exchanges hands in Funimation, once they get the rights to do that, then it becomes that dubious task of it's like, well, okay, part of the cast has kind of migrated to the West Coast, including their humble narrator. So I don't really know. I know my interest level is there, and I hope it happens. If they get Dragon Ball Kai, I definitely want to be a part of it. There's no guarantees, though. There's no guarantees, unfortunately.
So you would, if you had the chance, you would.
If I had a chance and they said, well, Kyle, we need to fly out, and which I have a few times a year. I go visit my family in Dallas, and I'll just I'll email the talent coordinator there and say, hey, I'm going to be in town. Throw me a bone. And they do. They give me work. It's like, wow, okay, I made enough money back for my plane ticket and a little money to pocket. So yay. And then I get to say, hey, I'm on another dozen shows on Funimation. Woo!
Cool.
So yeah, I really, really hope it happens. Fingers crossed.
Philip wants to ask me, in Death Note, which moment as Aizawa was your favorite, and do you like him with the afro or without? My favorite moment of the show is when he gets rid of the afro, so I think that answers both questions. Any other questions? Yes, from over here. Come on up to the microphone. Here we go. What's your name?
Kayla.
Kayla. Hey, Kayla.
What's up?
This.
Mr. Hebert. I know you've... I'm sorry. Kyle.
Yes.
I got a question.
Yes.
Of all the animes that you've done,
Uh-huh.
which one would you like to see live action, and
Ooh.
who would you want in the cast?
That's an excellent question. I guess the controversial part of that is I'm not one of the advocates of anime becoming live action because so far, anyway, we've had some very bad results. Speculation, yeah. You've had Speed Racer come and go. You've had Dragon Ball Evolution, which I actually go around to some cons and actually do a roast. We play and do it MST3K style. So, yeah, that's a lot of fun. I actually wrote a commentary track for it. I watched and deconstructed that horrid movie and wrote punchlines in between the pauses and all this stuff, and like, wow. Oh god. But yeah, and I know that Viz has their eyes on bringing Naruto and Bleach to the big screen. I'm like, the track record is not there. There's a reason these things are anime or animated in the first place, because that is a hyper reality where these things can happen. And yes, while technically special effects have come to that point where we could make things look like a live action anime, people will always say, yeah, it's not as good as the original. Mm-hmm. And if it's not going to be as good, then why even waste your time?
There is one show that actually did work as a live-action thing, and that was Death Note. We dubbed the live-action Death Note as well with the same characters, and we went to a screening of it, and it actually worked very well. I was surprised. And they CGI'd Ryuk, and he looked okay.
Yeah.
It was better at nighttime than it was in the day. But I thought they did a really good job. But again, that's a show that is a little less hyper-reality than a lot of the other shows. So it's a little easier to do that one. But cool. There's another question over here, I think. Come on up. Come on down. What's your name?
I'm Heather.
Hey, Heather.
What's up? I have a question for both of you. What are the two characters that you have played that are the most contradicting of each other?
Oh, interesting. Interesting. You?
Well, yes, Trevor has played me. No. Well, I could immediately call to mind Aizen on Bleach because he's so calm and collected and evil. And evil is dead sexy. And then on the polar opposite, there's the Great Saiyaman! Full frontal nudity again.
I love that term. I
think it should be a podcast name.
Totally, full frontal nudity. I'm surprised it's not.
Yeah, it may be. Google it, folks. Google it.
That's a tough one, but I think actually there was a show called Shakugan no Shana that we did. And in that show I played two very different characters. One was Friakne, who was very evil and quite insane and very, very calm when he was talking about the flame hazes. And then there was Marcosius, the crazy flying bug. So that was kind of cool. Within one show to have two characters that were like polar opposite. That was cool. Good question. Good question. Any other questions over here from the talking dog? No? No? Okay, come on up to the mic if you got a question. By all means, be part of the show.
Because the talking dog is Akamaru, which is Kiba's. Yes. That's the speaking. Just wants a hug.
Oh, he wants a hug. Well,
come on up.
Come on up and hug Kyle.
Meanwhile.
Question over here? There's a giant dog hugging my guest right now. You can't see it, but it's freaking me out.
wondering, you've done a lot of anime, and I was just wondering what's your first role that got you into like doing all your other animes, because I saw quite a few that you've done. I like Soul Taker and stuff. So just wondering what really got you into the industry. Like, what was the big thing?
My first anime was Mobile Suit Gundam, and I was Tem Ray on that, who was Amuro's dad. And I think he shows up in the first 2 episodes and then disappears. And then I was, Soldier 7B, and whose entire life consists of what? Yes, sir. There's an award we have in Vancouver called the what's it called? I think it's called the Flaming Death Award, and it's given every year to the anime actor who has the most characters die in any given year. And I've not quite taken it. I think I was second choice for it a couple of years ago. But yeah, my first show was Mobile Suit Gundam. But I started doing prelay, which is like the American style animation. I was not an anime fan either. I didn't really understand the whole thing. I still don't. I try, because now I'm, a little bit more of a part of the whole thing. But I was unlike Kyle. I never thought I want to be cartoon voice guy. I didn't think of it. I moved to Vancouver to be a filmmaker, and I did that for a while, and it was fun. But I literally fell backwards into the business. I was just doing little voices and accents since I was a little kid, and I didn't think it was a job. And then I came to Vancouver and I saw all these guys, and I was like, wow, they're all as crazy as I am. Weird. What do they do for a living? And it turns out they did this. And I thought, I can probably do that. And now I do. Anyway, this is sounding a little perilously close to me being interviewed, and we can't have that on my show. Anyway, thanks for the question. Anybody else? Over here? Come on up to the microphone. Up to the microphone. I really like this live question thing. This is my favorite part. Yes.
Yeah. This is why the live streaming on Stickam will be very good for your show.
We're going to have to talk about that. What's your name, sir?
Henry.
Henry. Hello, Henry.
Hey, now this is a question for both of you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of all the voice acting and dubbing you guys have done, which one was the longest script you guys had to do?
The longest script? Mm-hmm. Ghost in the Shell SAC Complex. I was Togusa, and that script, I think they cut down most of the redwood forest in order to make the pages for it, because there was I think there was literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages of that thing. But that was all. We did that as a mini series, so that's why there were so many lines. What about you?
It's a verbose show.
Yes, lots of talking.
Lots of talking. Lots of eye candy, but lots of talking. Long shows. Wow. I'm of recent memory, I would say some of the Bleach scripts, they get pretty verbose. There's a lot of plot and a lot of exposition going on, and someone needs to explain it, because if I watched that episode of Bleach, I would be so lost. I admitted this the other day in the panel, that it's like, well, how much of Bleach do you watch? Like, well, I watched Volume 1 and whatever else I've dubbed, and that's it. It's like I just don't have enough hours in the day to catch up with these long franchise shows. But I would say, the longest projects, not necessarily script, but, Bleach is still going on in Japan. Naruto is still going on in Japan, and these are huge and I'm very, very, and Dragon Ball Z continues to a degree, at least in terms of games. We do like 1 or 2 new games each year. So it's like, I always think I'm out. They pull me back in. But I'm very thankful for that. So.
Awesome. Thank you for the question. We're going to move on to our final question now, because we're running out of time. This is from Michael in Toronto, longtime listener, longtime writer. Hi, Trevor and Kyle. I think it's great that you're taking the show on the road again, Trev. And a fine hello to our friends attending Matsuri-Con in beautiful Columbus, Ohio. Hope you're having an awesome time at the con. Anyway, here is my question for both you and Kyle. My girlfriend and I have often discussed what certain anime shows would be like if they were recorded and dubbed in different cities. I also like the behind-the-scenes featurettes on both Death Note and Bleach, where you got to see what the recording process was like in the booth. For Kyle, if you were a casting director for Bleach or Naruto, and Ocean Studios in Vancouver was the studio to dub Bleach or Naruto, which character would you cast Trevor as, and why? And for me, for Trevor, if you were the casting director for Death Note, or Gundam Seed, and Studiopolis in Los Angeles was the studio to dub Death Note, or Gundam Seed, which character would you cast Kyle as and why? Well, I will answer that first. If I was going to cast Death Note, I think the only logical character for Mr. Hebert would be Ryuk. Considering he does such a fine Brian Drummond impersonation.
Yeah, I kind of geek out. I'm a big fan of Brian Drummond, and I've only got to speak to him once. Actually, a fan had him at the autograph session and handed him the phone so I could say hi to him, and I was geeking out. I was like, "Oh, this is awesome, man! I love you, man! It's great." And yeah, he does such a fantastic job on that. And it's like, yeah, if Death Note was being dubbed in L.A., I would so fight for that part, but not to take anything away from Brian Drummond, because wow, he just rocks in that. Rocks in the role, man. He rocks in the role.
He turns it up to 11.
Yeah,
And who would I be cast as in Bleach or
in
Naruto?
Bleach? Well, because I just call it Bleach all the time. If I'm casting Bleach, first of all, I'm going to be Ichigo. But no, I think you, because of your outstanding personality, you just drip coolness, Trevor.
I really do, yeah.
I think Trevor would make an awesome Renji, don't you guys? Renji, yeah.
Well, thank you, I think.
Yeah, you should be. Yes, he's one of the fan-favorite characters.
Well, that is about going to wrap up episode 23. Thank you guys for coming out. Thank you very much for being my guest today.
Thank you, Trevor.
It was great to be here at ZerCon to do the show, and thank you to the organizers for allowing us to do it. Our next show, episode 24, will be out sometime, I think, in October, if I get off my butt and actually record it. And our next guest is going to be the man you know as L on Death Note, and the man who you also know as Lieutenant Gaeta on Battlestar Galactica, AJ Alessandro Giuliani. So once again, if you guys have any questions for AJ, by all means, write them in to fans@TrevorDevall.com. And if you have any comments, questions, or concerns for me, your intrepid host, write those in with the other one, Voiceprint@TrevorDevall.com. Thank you so much, Kyle. Thank you so much, Ohio. It's been fun, and we will see you on the flip side.